Welcome to Budget Beauty, where I help you look flawless for less. Welcome back, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Budget Beauty. We do everything beauty on a budget, and that includes one of my favorite videos, and that is testing new makeup. I have been shopping for makeup, and I actually have several new releases, new products to try with you today. First impression tutorial review. So if you're excited, give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not, turn your bell on because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. Don't forget to check out the description box down below. I will link all of the products that we're testing today, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing. So if you want to recreate the look, everything you need is down in the description box, my favorite beauty boxes, and of course, come on over, follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. So let me go ahead and zoom you in and let's test out some new makeup. So I went ahead and primed my face with the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I'm not particular on primers, but I actually do really like this one. I'm trying to go through my large collection of primers. So I actually pulled this out yesterday because I finished the one that I was using. I've also been using up my Jaclyn face tint. This isn't really a foundation. It's definitely more like a skin tint, but I do like this, and the color of this is perfect for me as we move into summer. It is almost gone, so we're going to use that today. And then we are going to test out the new liquid highlight from Juvia's Place. I talked about this in my new makeup releases, let you guys know that I was definitely interested in this. For me, I don't use a lot of liquid highlighters as highlight. I like to mix these in with my foundation. So I'll go ahead and insert some footage of the new Juvia's Place liquid highlight. I have mine in the shade Nubian Gleam. Based on the swatches on Ulta's website, I figured this was the closest match for me. I love that this has a doe foot applicator, gives me all of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter vibes, and much more affordable. Of course, I'll put prices up here on the screen for all of the products for you so that you know how much each of these items were. I do, again, really like the doe foot applicator. So what I like to use these liquid highlights for is to blend in with my foundation. So I just apply some to my skin, and then I add my foundation and just blend them together. And I find for me, that really is the best way to use this product. Now, of course, you can use this as a liquid highlighter, whatever your preference is. We all do our makeup differently. So whatever your preference is, it's definitely meant to be used in any way that works for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend that out. Ooh, that's really pretty. Can you see that glow? Ooh, I love that. That is why I typically use an illuminator or a liquid highlight in my foundation, because it gives you that pretty glow from within and just blends beautifully with the foundation. And then I always blend that out with a beauty sponge. Like I said, this Jaclyn Cosmetics product is definitely a light coverage, which is what I prefer in the summer rather than a full coverage foundation. It just gives a nice tint to the skin. It does offer a little bit of coverage, but definitely I would say a light coverage versus a regular foundation. But that's really pretty. Can you see that glow? That is exactly what I was after, is that really pretty kind of dewy glow. I have some thoughts on this, and we'll go over my final thoughts at the end, but I do really like the pretty glow that this is giving. Another new product that I wanted to test out is from Decay. This is the Hydra Maniac Blush Glow tint. This is a cream liquid serum blush. I picked mine up in the shade Obsessed. You know that I love all coral when it comes to cream blushes. I'll go ahead and insert swatch and a close-up of this. I really like I said, cream products and serum products, especially blush, bronzers, highlights. I think that they're perfect as we get older. I'm almost 48, and so I do have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, and I feel like cream products overall just make me look a little bit younger. I typically will layer a powdered product on top, and one thing to think about with cream or serum blushes, bronzers, highlights, contours is make sure that you apply them before you set your face with powder. So I'm going to go ahead and dab a little bit on my cheek. I don't know how pigmented this is, so I don't want to go too crazy with the product. And then I like to take kind of a flat kabuki and blend. Ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty. It's definitely not as pigmented as I was expecting with how bright it is when it comes out of the tube. But that is really beautiful. Let me see if I can build it up by adding a little bit more. The consistency of this, you can see, is pretty wet, but not so wet that it doesn't stay in place. It definitely stays on the cheek until you are able to blend it out. I definitely was able to build that up. I have a lot more color payoff, a lot more pigmentation. I really like this color. It's coral, it's perfect for summer. It definitely adds to the glow. There is a little bit of glowiness to the product. I'm wondering if that's going to translate once I set my face. Let me go ahead and put on my concealer, set my face with powder, do my bronzer, my powder blush, my highlight, and I'll be back to do an eyeshadow look with you because we're going to test out a eyeshadow palette that I am really excited about. So I've set my face, I have applied my bronzer, powder blush, highlight. Of course, everything I put on my face will be linked down below for you. But before we jump into the eyeshadow review, I need a little something on my lips. I do want to do a liquid lip and a gloss at the end, but while we're applying our eyeshadow, I want to test out the new reformulated lip balm from e.l.f. I went ahead and picked mine up in Honeydew. This is the Squeeze My Lip Balm. Now they had several different colors, if you want to call them that, on the website. They do just have a teeny tint of color, but these have been completely reformulated and redesigned to be more user-friendly and just a better formula overall. So I wanted to pick one up to test it out. I like that it does have that flat applicator for the actual lip balm. It smells so good. It is 100% honeydew. That feels really nice on my lips. And you can see I don't have green lips. There is just that little bit of shine, that little bit of maybe an iridescence to it. I really like the way that this feels upon initial application. So let's allow this to sit on the lips while we put on our eyeshadow and finish our makeup for the day. And then of course at the end, I'll give you my full review of everything. But I'm really excited for the eyeshadow palette. Now this is something that I talked about in my new makeup releases, and I'm pretty certain I said I wasn't going to pick it up, and then I got suckered into it because it was a color story that was unique and definitely a color story that I knew I would love and get a lot of use out of, and that is the brand new Natasha Denona Yucca palette. Now, you know, I don't buy a lot of Natasha Denona. I find her formula sometimes is hit and miss. She doesn't always do color stories that I love, and the price point is pretty pricey. But like I said, when I saw this palette in new makeup releases and then thought about it a little bit more, I knew that this is a grungy color story that I would use a lot. Now, on first up glance, it gives me a little bit more fall vibes, which is interesting, time of release since it's summer, but there are these fun pops of teal, green, yellow. There's even a really bright kind of yellow chartreuse shade. So I decided to pick up the palette. The packaging is absolutely beautiful. It's this mustard yellow ombre. There is a full mirror in the palette. We have 9 mattes and 5 shimmers, and this palette swatched beautifully, absolutely beautifully. The mattes were buttery soft. The shimmers were foiled, which is something you don't always find with mainstream makeup. That's why I love indie makeup so much. But based on swatches, this palette looks really nice. Now, of course, the true test is applying it to the eyes. So I went ahead and set my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly. I use that every single time that I do an eye look, and I'm ready to dig into the Yucca palette. So the first shade that initially drew me in is this kind of baby poop yellow shade Citrine. So I'm going to pick that up on a fluffy brush. There is a little bit of kick up in the pan, so tap your brush off or do your eye look before your base. I've set my face already, so fallout should easily wipe away. And I'm going to focus this on my crease, kind of using it as a transition shade. This is a beautiful shade. This is all of the grungy baby poop vibes I was after. This is super pretty. It's blending out beautifully, easy to apply, and definitely a pigmented. That's beautiful. This is definitely what I was expecting based on the swatching and the shade itself in the pan. So far, so good. I'm finding that this matte formula in this Citrine shade is easy to apply and easy to blend. I want to deepen up my crease just a little bit, add a little bit of depth. So I'm going to go in with this kind of orangey shade called Valley, and I'm going to apply that just on my crease where I brought that Citrine shade a little bit above the crease. This one I'm going to focus on the crease itself. I still want to be able to see Citrine kind of popping out above this shade, Valley. That That was one tap in. That is so pretty. It's definitely a orangey shade, but when applying over citrine, it kind of gives it a green undertone, which I am not mad about. And again, just deepens up that crease, adds that little bit of depth. This is so beautiful. And you know, I always like to deepen up my outer corner and really add some depth. I was debating between the brown or the green, and I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and go with this brown shade here called Flax, and then we'll pop some green in on the lower lash line. So I'm picking the shade Flax up on a slanted brush so that I can really get in and apply that to the outer portion of my eye and add that depth. Now this is a beautiful shade. It gives me chocolate brown vibes, but all of these shades I feel like have a tiny bit of a grungy green undertone, which like I said, I'm not mad about. It's definitely grunge, which is nice to see from Natasha Denona. Like I mentioned, a lot of her color stories just don't really speak to me, but this one, because it was so grungy, I definitely was more interested. And I really love this shade Flax. It is applying beautifully. I am layering it over two other shadows, and it is not patchy. It's laying down beautifully. It's one tap in to get this much pigmentation and depth. Then I'm going to pick up that same fluffy brush that I use for my crease and just blend that out. I really like this look so far. It's so earthy and grungy. I'm going to go ahead and apply some NYX glitter glue. I always use a glitter primer, especially with really foiled shadows. And like I mentioned, these ones in this palette seem pretty foiled for Natasha Denona. So I'm going to tap on my NYX glitter base and we'll do a shimmer shade or two. Now, as always, I want to apply a shimmer with my finger and a brush. I want to see how Natasha performs in both methods. So first, this shade Makia. It is a gold, grungy, green, shifty shade. That is what I'm going to pick up on my finger. I mean, look at that. I'm going to apply that to the outer portion of my lid. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at that. That is so beautiful. Wow. That is absolutely sparkly, foiled, wet looking, and I love that grungy green to gold shift. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Look at how beautiful that is. I was able to layer that up, tap that on with my finger. Finger application is a 10 out of 10 with this palette. But like I said, I want to test it out with a brush too, because I know a lot of people don't prefer to apply shimmer with a finger. So I'm going to use a dense kind of packer brush. And I want to pick up this shade here called Kohlrabi with my brush. It's so pretty. It's gold, but it has a little bit of a silver base, and I'm wondering if it's going to pull in a little green as well. And I'm going to place that on my inner portion of my lid. Holy, that is so stunning. Oh my gosh, these shimmers, you guys. I think this is my favorite shimmer formula from Natasha Denona. I feel like these are way more foiled, way more wet looking on the eye than her previous palettes. And they're applying perfectly with a brush and with a finger. Oh my gosh, these are so pretty. Now, the one thing I will say is that these two shades that I use, they're not that different on the eye. The first shimmer shade has a little bit more of a green undertone, and this inner corner shade has a little bit more of a gold undertone. But just looking at me head on, there isn't that much difference between the two shimmer shades. So if you want a little bit more contrast, maybe go with either this top shade here or even this kind of brown, kind of grungy shade here. But I do love the look. It's very beautiful, but just head on, there isn't that much difference between those two shimmers. For the lower lash line, like I mentioned, I want to pull in some green. So using that same dense brush, I did go ahead and clean that off. I'm going to pick up this beautiful green shade called Willow and buff that on my lower lash line. I love that. I absolutely love that pop of green. This was the perfect lower lash line choice. Now this shade Willow, it's kind of a teal green. I really like it. It's hard to explain. It's like a forest green with a little bit of teal. It's absolutely beautiful. And lastly, into the shade Plantasia, which has a little bit of a coppery undertone. I'm going to use that shimmer shade as my inner corner highlight, hoping that it adds a little bit of contrast since these other two shades are very, very gold leaning. Ooh, that is beautiful. Can you see that it has a little bit of a teal green undertone, which is perfection with this green lower lash line shade of Willow. It definitely does have a little bit of a green base, but again, all of the shimmer shades that I used today, so all of these are very similar looking on the eye. They look different in the pan, definitely contrasting in the pan, but once applied to the eye, there's very, very subtle differences. So again, if you want that big punch of contrast, I would definitely incorporate this shade here, which I will do in future looks. Overall, I love this. I think this eyeshadow look is so beautiful. It's a little grungy. It's got that pop of green on the lower lash line. Let me go ahead and put on liner, mascara, and I'll be back. We'll do our lips together and we'll talk about the Natasha Denona palette and all of the other new makeup we tested today. Okay, I have liner and mascara. Let me give you a close-up of the eye look. I absolutely am obsessed with this look. I did go ahead and put a bright, fun, colorful ColourPop liner in my waterline just to pull in the green a little bit, brighten up the look a little bit because it is definitely grungy, which I love. Of course, my liner, mascara, the products I used in my brows, my ColourPop liner that I used in the waterline is all down in the description box for you. I did go ahead and remove the e.l.f. lip balm. We'll talk about this at the end because I want to do our lips together. So I'm going to use the Jaclyn Cosmetics lip liner in the shade Toasty. This is one of my favorite neutral liners. I love the Jaclyn liners. Isn't that pretty? Just a neutral brown. So creamy and it goes on so nicely. And then I'm going to use a Jaclyn Cosmetics liquid lipstick as well. Again, a really pretty, more neutral brown, and I think that pairs really nicely with this eye look. I do have an outfit in mind for today. I need to do my hair, so let me get dressed, do my hair, and I'll be back to share my thoughts on all of the new makeup that we tested, and you'll be able to see the completed look for today. So I am back. I am dressed for the day. I decided to go with the mustard yellow vibes. It just ties it in with this eye look. I also wanted to let you know that I did apply the e.l.f. lip balm over my Jaclyn Cosmetics liquid lips. They're a little drying for me. I do like to always add a little gloss. This is fantastic. We're gonna start the review right here. This is fantastic. It has a little bit of color, not very opaque at all. It is not sticky. It is shiny. It is beautiful. It is hydrating. This is fantastic. I know that the original lip balm wasn't very popular from e.l.f. and since they've reformulated it, they've definitely done a great job and it is beautiful over liquid lip. So it is what I have over the Jaclyn liquid lip. I think these were $4, so I would highly recommend. In fact, I think I may pick up all of the other shades of the lip balm just to have them because for $4, these are fantastic. Now let's talk about the Juvia's Place liquid highlight. So like I said, I have thoughts on this. Number one, when this first came in the mail, I was like, that is tiny. I'm used to Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Hollywood Filter, the e.l.f. one. The e.l.f. one is very big as well. And this is kind of along those same lines as those. Now it doesn't claim to be something you mix in with your foundation. It is meant to be a little bit more of a liquid highlight, which like I said, you could use it for that, but my preference is to mix it in with my foundation. So I will probably go through this rather quickly. And it is about the same price as the e.l.f. Halo Glow, which has substantially more product. Now the doe foot on this is really nice, but it took a lot for me to get product out of here. It doesn't pick up very much product. So I had to go in a few times to get enough to blend in with my foundation. Now, if you were using this just as a liquid highlight, the amount that comes off on the doe foot is perfect. Just a couple of dabs, just a couple of dots, and then blending that in for that pretty highlight. I like this. I'm glad that I bought this. I don't know that I would buy it again. I mean, this is the first time I've used it, so I want to continue to test it out. I want to see how long it lasts for $18. I will say I love the glow, and I can definitely even see that through my setting powder. So after setting my face, I could still see the little bit of warmth and glow that this product gave. So I do like this. I just need a little more time to determine if I would repurchase. And then moving on to the Hydra Maniac Liquid Serum Blush from Decay. I love this. I feel like this is perfect for summer. It goes on a little more on the sheer side, but it is buildable. So if you're looking for a lighter makeup look, a no makeup look, this is perfect. And then you're able to build it up to get a little bit more pow. Now I did layer the Glamlite Scooby-Doo orange blush over the top just to bring in a little bit more of those coral vibes. I always layer my serum blushes with the powder blush, but I felt like even after I set my face with powder, you could still see this. So you wouldn't even have to go in with a powder blush. So I do like this. I think this is definitely a product I will reach for a lot. I'm interested in picking up a few more colors. And then last but not least, the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. You guys, I am so happy I bit the bullet and purchased this. Now, this is a $69 palette, and this performed like a $69 palette. The mattes were buttery, they were smooth, they were blendable, they were layerable, there was no patchiness. And the shimmers are beautiful. My only complaint is that some of the shimmers look very similar on the eye. You don't get as much definition as I was hoping. And what's interesting is when I'm looking at right now, when I'm looking at the shimmers, this is gold, this is more of a green base, and this is definitely more of a goldy silver. But again, on the eyes, there's not that much difference. So I do wish that the shimmers had a little bit of more differentiation on the eyes, but they're beautiful. And I love this look. Like, I really love this look, and I can't wait to play with this more. So my opinion is this is definitely worth the money. I'm really happy that I picked it up. And honestly, this is probably the Natasha Denona palette that I'll use the most out of everything that I own from her. So those are my thoughts on this new testing new makeup. Let me know down below, did you pick up any of these products? Definitely get the palette if you're interested. I am blown away with how much I actually enjoy that palette from Natasha Denona. Everything is linked down below. Just click the link. It's super easy shopping. So definitely check out that description box. I also put all the rest of the makeup that I'm wearing today if you wanted to recreate this look, my favorite beauty subscription boxes. And then of course, come on over, follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. Thank you for joining me for another testing new makeup, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.